Have you ever wondered how music supervisors select the people and companies they choose to work with? Well, if you have, then you don't want to miss this episode with leading music supervisor Ann Kline. We discuss how she makes her musical choices and who her trusted sources are that she relies on for her projects. Coming up. Hi, we're back at Sync Summit. We managed to catch up with Ann Kline, music supervisor at Casa Kline. Ann, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You know, Ann, I wanted to ask you, you've been in music supervision for a while and you've worked in many different mediums. How are music supervisors chosen? What's the process?
I mean, I don't know. I usually work within the same group of producers. It seems like it's really because it's such a personal connection. Music and just how you deliver it, you just get to know people really well after working through a film or a TV series with them. And I think for myself personally, the TV shows I worked on a long time ago, a lot of the writers and directors and producers went off to become their own executive producers. And so I work almost entirely within that group. Every now and then something comes from like a studio saying you need a music supervisor and here's some reliable ones to think about or something like that. And sometimes it will be because they saw something and they liked it but I think most people, it's mostly a personal connection. At least it's been for me.
Okay. What are the differences in supervising films versus TV shows?
It's mostly time. I mean, TV shows have a super fast turnaround. And so from script to the end of post is usually about like 6 to 8 weeks. Whereas a film, it can be much longer. The films I've done have generally been really like indie films or like negative pickups or things like that where they can go on for years. I mean, you're just going from festival to festival and you're often making changes based on audience reactions and stuff like that. They tend to go on. I've never worked on one of these big budget, like it's here's your money and here's your job and go for it. I've never had that experience. So I really like TV. I like the pace of it and that you have to make decisions and you do it and you move on.
Okay. One of the things I've noticed is that in film and in television, there seems to be a far greater use of independent music today than there was 10, 12 years ago. I mean, one of your shows that you supervise is Shameless, and that uses a lot of music. Can you talk about how that came about? Because there wasn't that willingness 10, 12 years ago to do that.
I think it was almost impossible back then though, right? Because it was really hard to get the music to a supervisor and there weren't many people for us to go to. So if you were using an independent artist, it was probably because they were like a director or producer's kid or somebody you knew or, that's almost all the uses I did on like shows like an ER or Third Watch or something were indie bands that I just happened to know. Whereas now it's super easy to go out and find amazing independent, unsigned or signed to like smaller label artists. There's tons of ways to find that music. And then I think also like with like the advent of these different kinds of series that they're not typical dramas, there's a lot scores used differently. Audiences expect more. They don't need you to like, score the reveal because they're intelligent and things are just done differently now.
Okay.
And so I think it's just a culmination of a lot of different things. But the accessibility of the music is a giant factor.
Okay. The other aspect that I think is interesting is that in music supervision today, especially, you guys use a lot of music libraries, a lot of music placement companies. Can you talk about your experiences with those? Do you have relationships with libraries and placement companies of people that you trust? And what?
Absolutely. I don't know what I'd do without. I mean, truly, I really use them. I mean, I used to use them almost exclusively for things you had to use them for, like orchestral pieces or big band pieces where you couldn't get caught with like a union issue or something like that. But and because especially like West Wing used so much of those types of music, I developed really strong relationships with great people at libraries. But back then, you weren't gonna go to them for indie rock. They didn't. It was generic, and it was really just filling a very like a niche of like, here's a blues song. And now with all these other companies, they have great people working for them. I mean, people who maybe I knew before from a major label or from a different library, but you need someone to help you filter through and somebody you can trust, because I mean, back when I used to just use artists that I met or knew through a personal connection, I got burned a lot. They'd co-write with people who were signed. They didn't understand the music industry, and I got in a lot of jams. Like it was a nightmare.
And a lot of people today, they wonder what the best path is to get to music supervisors. Is it direct? Is it through third-party aggregators and sync companies? What's your advice on that?
I personally would rather go through somebody I know and trust, just to take out that questionable factor, and because I think I can trust them to know the shows and have done the research. But I do talk to people one-on-one all the time. I try to answer my phone. I try to answer my emails. I try to listen as long as it's presented professionally. But I do always trust a personal connection more. And it does help with the studios, because they've been burned so many times as well that once they have a relationship with one of these third-party companies, you know, be it a library or like one of these independent pitch companies, we can rely on them to be the middleman. They already have like they've signed off on the studio's language. It takes a lot of the questions out of it.
Okay. Now, also a lot of, I guess, viewers that we have asked me over the years, you know, they are interested in being a music supervisor. And many of them have the misconception that all it takes to be a great music supervisor is a phenomenal knowledge of music in various genres. And that's really not the case. So what advice would you have for people that are wanting to pursue your profession? What are the things that they should really be aware of if they want to get into music supervision as a career?
It's all about listening to your director or producer and it's like sometimes a picture editor. It's like really listening and trying to figure out what it is they need, because everyone has different ways of talking about music. Some people talk about, we need more pace in the scene, or somebody might say, I need it to feel scary. Whatever it is, you have to figure out what it is they're looking for, because it's that kind of a connection. It's rare that they're going to say, I need a blues song that's, you know, 12 that has 12 bars of intro. You know what I mean? That they're not talking generally in music terms. It's emotional terms, and you have to learn how to listen and figure that out, and realize that that's the job is a lot of research. It's a lot of paperwork. It's really the creative part is something that you're always trying to get to, and you just like there's hurdles all day long because you're really trying to hear music, figure out who owns it, talk to your director, your producer. I mean, there's so much to do. And then you have to also, takes as long as it takes to listen to a song. It takes as long as it takes to watch a scene. It's a crazy time management thing. There's no hours. It's really like, it's not, I think, what people think.
It seems like your answer is interesting because it's serving a different vision. It's serving the vision of the producer, or serving the vision of the project, the TV show, or the film, not only the music. That the creative, as you said, is just one of many aspects that you're working with.
Yeah, and the budget, and then there's so many things to take into consideration.
Wow. Some really great insights from Ann, especially for those of you that are looking to place your music into film and television. So, insiders, here's the question of the day. What did you feel were the most valuable pieces of information in our conversation with Ann? Was it understanding the differences between music supervision in films versus television? Or was it the use of a much wider variety of music used in film and TV than in the past? Or was it the trusted sources that she has relationships with that you need to be aware of? Or maybe it was something else that resonated with you. Do you have any experience or ideas that have worked for you that you'd like to share with us regarding this topic? We'd love to hear from you and connect in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to MUBUTV for more information on how to educate, empower, and engage your music career. In addition, we recently put together a free guide on the best practices to use when connecting with music supervisors. This is extremely important before submitting your music to any film or television show. So, if you're interested in receiving it, we've included a link to that in the description below. It's totally free, and it goes through the top do's and don'ts before you even think about submitting your music out to music supervisors. Questions such as asking yourself, is all the correct metadata and contact information included in my music? Have I checked all of the links to any music that I'm submitting to make sure that they're working? Are your sync and master rights of the recording and song pre-cleared? This is a valuable guide into learning the art and etiquette of submitting your music to the music supervisor community, one that you can't afford to be without. So, if you're interested in receiving that, we'll link to it in the description below. You can also check out a summary of this episode and everything we talked about in the description as well. And if you enjoyed this video, we'd really love it if you hit the like button and let us know what other kinds of videos and types of content you want to see on this channel. Hit us up in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.